Okay, how are we doing? Wow. Okay. Right. Okay, I guess we can get. So I don't know if you've read through this blog post at all, but that's there for reference. Generally, what I'm going to be talking about. So we have OMERO web running locally. I was just running in development mode in just using the Django method of running the web server, but there's various ways you can do this. And okay, so OMERO web and figure local host. So I just followed the general installation of Figure, so I've got it added to my web apps. I haven't actually installed the Python script and then the other tweaks yet, but this is the essential one that it's in your list of apps. Okay, and let's just so assuming you've got all that set up and running, then you'll have Figure available. So let's just go through some of the code. So I'm using Sublime Text, and I've got the Figure directory open here. So the bulk of the code is JavaScript, and this is all arranged as a Django app in the same way as the web client or our other apps. So all the JavaScript code is under static Figure. This is kind of a little. This could probably do with a bit of tidying up. So this is where you would expect to find all the static files in a Django app. However, what I do now, which I didn't do at the start, is a sort of build step. And so the build step generates this templates file and this figure.js. So these are concatenated and compiled, so not minimized, but just concatenated JavaScript, and this is templates_templates compiled. So really, these are the only things that actually are served to the page, and the only things of our code that need to be in the static directory. There's also the usual third-party stuff for the libraries that we use. That's the same as organization that we have in web client, and CSS is there as well, just a single Figure CSS. Okay, so that's where the bulk of the code is, and there's an app.js, which is where everything kicks off. That's not too big. That just sets up. So it's all based on Backbone. So the bit of interest here is defining the routes, or routes as people call them, and these three methods that are tied to these different URLs. Okay, and they're basically here handling the various different entry points. And then it's broadly divided. The other stuff is models and views. So we don't have so the vast majority of the code is in the views. For models, we really only model the figure itself. That's all the global things about the figure, page size, and everything. The panel, so there's a collection of panel models that represents each image on the page, and so a simple collection of those represents all the panels that are on the page. Then there's there's some undo redo functionality. You shouldn't have to touch that too much. That mostly just takes the changes in the panels and adds it to the queue. Actually, and there's also and the file. So in files here, I guess we should split this up. The files is loading files from OMERO, and there's both views and models in there. But most of the models is either the figure or the panel that you'll be dealing with most of the time. Okay, and then a good number of views. Figure view, main one for the layout of the page. Panel view. This represents a panel on the canvas, so that's on the page. And then most of the other views are representing either the right hand panel part of the app. So I go here. So either they represent the selected panel. I guess I should have multiple panels here. So you have a panel view per each panel in the middle, and then this is your collection, and then in the right hand side a view for representing all the UI on the right here is broken up into various different views that represent just a selected panel. So these are re-rendered each time you change selection. And then there's a bunch of views that show that are modal. So a views that has the ROI modals, various other like file. So various different modals for these modal dialogues. Okay, so let me just collapse this a bit. Cool. Okay, so that's the bulk of the JavaScript code. The main HTML page is again arranged as you would expect for a Django app under templates, figure, index. A couple of other things here could probably do with some cleaning up. So this is where all the HTML is for the page. So this has a lot of so all the first section here is stuff you won't actually see at the start, and these are a lot of modal all the sort of placeholders for the modal dialogues. All of these are using Bootstrap, so the whole page uses Twitter Bootstrap. So that's a useful reference where you can basically copy and paste chunks of HTML, and that's it gives you a nice way of browsing their docs. Their docs are pretty good. Okay, so there's a ton of modal dialogues, and then okay, all down the bottom of the scripts. Okay, and then the page itself, footer, main. So this is the main canvas here, where the canvas is placed. Okay, a bunch of buttons and menus. This is the nav bar. Again, all this is Bootstrap. And so these are all menus, the top menus file at the top of the page. And okay, so and here's the end of all the modals sections and the beginning of the of what you get on the page. Okay, what else? So other code of interest, again, Django, standard Django stuff, urls.py, views.py. There's not so much functionality here, but these are various things that are used for loading and saving figures and other queries that we need to make, running scripts to generate the PDFs, that sort of thing, and the associated functionalities in the views.py. So that's all the Python code. And then there's under scripts, OMERO, figure scripts, figure to PDF. This is a script for exporting figure. So again, this is like a standard OMERO script. that gets the main parameter that it's passed is a long string, basically the JSON string of what's called figure JSON, the string that represents the JSON object of the whole figure. So that's where the whole figure is encoded in that. And then, so there's a, so we have the shape to, oops, no, let's go down to the main. There's a main class here that does let's find this, the export to figure export. So this basically does the PDF export, and then the various things. So that's the whole logic for creating the PDF, going through the various panels, creating the pages, all that stuff, building the figure, writing the additional info on info pages, and then saving it all. So that's and the various parts of that are specific to PDF export are overwritten by a subclass that does the TIFF export using PIL. So things like draw text onto a page and paint a image onto a page, those are things that are subclassed by the TIFF export. Okay, let's go back to here. So I've covered JavaScript, HTML. Oh yeah, I missed out. Underscore templates. So again, this is under the static. So confusingly, we've got templates for the Django templates, but we've also got static figure. So these are JavaScript templates. So these are all using underscore, which is a sort of utility library used by Backbone from the same people. And they have templates. Again, it's just another templating library that's got HTML with variables in it. So this is a loop. It's kind of slightly confusing mixture of JavaScript in with the template. So this is the end of that function. And then with variables in there like this. But anyway, you should mostly be able to understand this from existing examples like this. Okay, so those are all compiled, as I said, whenever you save. Okay, covered all this. Yeah, so because of the figure JS and the templates are compiled each time, and they're not built doing any of our, currently doing our CI jobs. There's no build step there, so pretty much you have to commit everything that's compiled. Otherwise, you won't see the changes when it's deployed to EEL or wherever. And also means that if someone puts it in Docker or something like that, they don't have to do a build step. So it's slightly easier for them. But it means that every change you'll effectively commit twice. You'll see the same change in the original files and the compiled files. Okay, so I've sort of done most of the JavaScript code overview. Yeah, and that's the dialogues. Okay. Yeah. So as I said, there's a lot of code in the dialogues, and the basis of those is in the index file. Then, yeah, and the standard Bootstrap methods for opening those. So you'll see that pattern in a few places. And they're all initialized in a similar place, being passed an instance of the figure model, so they can always get hold of the currently selected panels. Yeah, so the figure model does all the notifications for when the selection changes, and you can always get the selected panels from the figure model. Okay. Any questions so far, or should I just? That's kind of a quite a quick chat through all this overview. If not, I can just do a bit of example coding. Okay, so I was going to start to add lookup tables support here. Okay, so first up, what do we want this to look like? So we've currently got channel color chooser here per channel with a drop down, allow me to choose the color, preset colors, and as a color picker, so I can pick the color there, and then that will update. So what I'm thinking of here for lookup tables is to have a lookup tables option next to this color picker option. So usually if you wanted to know where, the easiest way to get a handle on where to start coding and where to start making changes to add this is to use the browser developer tools. So I'm using Chrome, but there's similar tools in a bunch of all the browsers. So if I inspect on the element. Okay, so I can see the DOM structure here. And I've got, so this is a list of items again, or bootstrap type of icons. And I've got a color picker option here. So you're looking for things that are not, so if you're going to search a code for names here, don't pick stuff that's kind of bootstrappy stuff. You want to click stuff that's, so often class names that are not bootstrap, so figure specific. So if I look for this color picker option, I can copy that and we can get a handle on where the code is for this. So I'm just going to do a global, search for this. Okay, so the first thing to watch out for here is that you'll find this thing in all the compiled figure.js. Not too interested in the CSS. Again, the compiled templates you'll find this. I guess I could set up to exclude these things from search, but okay, again, figures are JS templates. And then, okay, down here we've got a whole bunch of different templates, and that's because the color picker is used in a bunch of places. So we use it to pick color for labels and for channels and for scale bar. But this one here is looking good. This is the channel toggle template, and yeah, so that was the color picker menu from where we toggle the channels. So let's go in here and check this out. Okay, so again, actually, this is the one I was showing you before. It loops through all the channels, so we get a menu for each channel. So we can add this, and it'll add this to the menu we want for each channel. Okay, we've got a divider here. So we basically, if we we can just use the color picker as an example, and add lookup tables here in place of the more colors. We can remove these data points here. We'll put something else in those in a second. And this current color that's passed, we don't need that. Okay. So first thing to do, since I'm starting development now, is to start my grunt watch here that's going to watch for changes to the templates and the JavaScript. Okay, so when I save this, you'll see that it's been compiled. If you do something invalid here, you'll get a warning that this failed to compile. So that's kind of handy. Okay, so that's done. Now we can refresh, and okay, so now if I choose this, we've got another option here. Let's okay. So now we just need to handle the clicking on this item. So now that I'm editing this particular template, this channel toggle template, if I want to find the JavaScript code associated with this, we actually turned up a bunch of code in the previous search results for color picker, but let's be a bit more focused here. We're going to search for the channel toggle template. So if I look for that toggle, okay, we can find the so this is in the right panel view, and there's actually a bunch of views in this file. They're not all totally split up. Okay, so we've got the channel toggle view here. So this is a template, and it's accessing the compiled template like this. Okay, so the events, there's an events, so the standard backbone layout for views. We have events. So this is basically using jQuery to delegation to capture all events within the container element, and it's listening for a click, in this case click events on this selector. These are various selectors here, and it's calling these methods. These are method names in the view. So it's reasonably easy to see here. So this is the one we're interested in. The drop down menu is clicking on the A. So if I look at the template, so these each have A elements, anchor elements in them, and that's what we're listening to. Clicks on those, and it's calling this pick color. So if I skip down to the pick color, so it's basically getting the color from the target of the click event. So here's the click event, and then you can see. So we've got some code, some special handling here for the color picker, and otherwise all the other ones are simply colors. So it's getting colors straight off and just calling set color. So again, here's the set color. It's going through all the models. So the models for this panel are the currently selected panels, and looping through them all and updating the channel with the color for that index. Okay, so this is where we can handle the we just had another if here, oops, and we're going to add in here. So instead of having if color picker, we'll need to add a different. So it's getting the color from the data color attribute of each element. So here we can put data color lut picker instead of color picker. Okay, and then we can save that and look for that option here. Oops, getting my syntax wrong here. Okay, and then just to see that that's working as we want, we can just console log that and see if we're all working. So again, I save that code and that would have compiled everything. So let's look at the console and the dev tools here, and when I click on okay, we've got the look picker. So let's call in the right code. So so what do we want to do with it? Well, I probably want to do something fairly similar to the color picker, and because we'll have a bunch of code associated with loading the looks from the server, and it'd be nice to have all that code in a separate dialog. So we're basically just going to, in this case, replicate a lot of the setup and the functioning of the color picker. So the color picker is slightly different from the other dialogues. So often, if I just wanted to launch a dialog, so in most cases where we launch dialogues, we can just kick off the modal dialog as I described in the here, just using this show. Okay, that's how I listen for it. Yeah, so we just do this, but that we need to do a bit more work here because we're passing it. It's accessing not just the selected panels, but we actually want to pass it the particular channel of the currently selected image. So yeah, so let's go in to the templates. Okay, we're going to the main index page, and let's find. Okay, so here's the modal for color picker, and let's just take this and we'll remove everything we don't need here. But whoops, it's been a bit slow. Okay. So instead of color picker, let's make this a lookup table, and yeah, whatever, look picker. And then I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff here. So this all has a form. So there's a header, a body. Let's just remove everything from the body for now. Okay. And then try to keep this, since I've removed the wrapping form, let's align this. Okay, so we've got an empty body title. We set the ID so we can access it through various jQuery lookups. Okay, so just as so if all we were doing is just showing that, then we could just do the looking up here. I think this is dialog, or actually no, it's not. It's modal show. So we can just see what that looks like. Okay. So that shows our modal. That's fine. But like I said, we're gonna do a bit more like the figure, like the color picker. So so this is sufficient to show the modal, and then we could yeah, pick the handling code elsewhere. So let's go for this figure color picker, see how that works. That's mostly the model we want to follow. So this is just a single instance of this color picker view. So color picker view is actually what we want to where all the view code goes. So let's find that, and this is in colorpicker.js. So again, this will we want to get rid of most of this, but it'll contain some nice elements that we want to use. So I'm going to copy and paste this over. Let's just see where this is in the sidebar. So I'm going to create a new view, new file, and this is going to be called picker.js. Okay. Right. So what do we want out of here? So this we want a lookup table picker view, and the parent element, again, the Django view, so it has a parent element, a lookup picker modal. Okay, we can get rid of a lot of this. Initialize. So this is called when the view is first created. Actually, we can get rid of all of this. So we'll probably want some events soon, so we'll just comment out those. Other stuff we can get rid of. So the basic showing functionality we'll probably want to keep mostly the same. And let's do not picker modal, and so this is code that we've just tested to show that in our view. So that's the same code there. Okay, so that's going to show it, and then we might want to do a bunch of other stuff. But okay, and there's a render option here. This actually we do need to save the callback, so we get past a callback. That's what's used to actually do the setting of the color when the dialog closes. Okay, so let's get rid of some of this, and then the render. Okay, we'll just remove that for now. Okay, so all this is going to do at the moment is just handle the showing and the other basic setups. So then we just need to actually create an instance of this. So this actually happens in the app.js. So this is a global single instance of. So we're going to have a new lookup table picker. Okay, so and let's stick with the same convention here. Figure picker. Okay. So now we can just call this figure lookup table picker dot show, and that will launch that dialog. So in place of manually showing it, we can do show, and then we'll want to pass it the callback, and we want this callback to be called with the lookup table name. And so again, the way this is actually kind of straightforward. If I stick to what we've done in the web client, which is basically to treat the lookup table name in exactly the same way as a color string. So the colors are hex strings, and in all the in the rendering code, on the web gateway rendering of using the lookup tables, it basically just takes checks if the name is a lookup table name instead of a string, instead of a color string. So if it ends in .lut, and then I'll simply set the color based on that. So in fact, there's no other specific handling of colors that we really need to do here. Well, a couple of other places we might in updating the colors of the sliders and buttons and stuff. But basically, in the simplest case, we can just pass the lookup table name here and treat it exactly the same way as the color. Okay, so that's our callback, and we're just going to call lookup table picker show. Okay, so if we've saved those changes to everywhere, so let's see if that's working. I can get rid of this. Okay, so here looks great. Okay, so now that's it's the lookup table views code that's doing the showing, and so we can add some extra functionality here to load the lookup tables. So I should just check actually that I'm on the right. Nope. Okay. Actually, I was working on this. Right. Good. Check out. Okay. So just switching so that I am actually on my this. What is that? That's Jason. So I should have. This Jason. Okay. So let me just find this web gateway URLs. So views and now have I got something going on strange here? Not sure. So that's not gonna. Why is that? Okay, not sure what went on there, but switching branches somehow didn't update. Okay. Right, so let's see, this is the right branch and doing the right thing here. Whoops. Do we have lookup tables here? Yeah, okay. So that means that if on this branch, what we can use is, I know that if I go to a web gateway URL and using this, I can get a list of the lookups, so I can use this to get a handle. So this is web gateway / LUTs. Okay, good. So we're on the right branch there. Let's just refresh this to see we're all running. Okay, so if I go back to oops, let's get the right window again. Figure. Okay, so let's, well, go to the lookup table picker. So when this is shown, we can do some looking up of the lookup tables at this point, so we don't do it ahead of time. Okay, so let's add a method here, load LUTs. So in a backbone view, this is, if you're not familiar with it in JavaScript, it's kind of can behave a bit strangely. It always refers to the current context. In backbone views, they refer to the view, so we can do load LUTs. And I'm just going to use some. So again, where if you want to work with the sort of models and views separately, often what you do in standard backbone is have a backbone collection of models. Just since we're not really sort of editing and saving and manipulating the list of lookup tables, I'm not going to create a separate backbone model for it. I'm just going to kind of handle it within the view itself as just a simple list of JSON data. And I'm going to use jQuery here to do the AJAX. So get JSON. So we need a URL, and so the way we want to get URLs, we could, you might be tempted to do just web gateway / like this, whereas that may work. Really, the right way of doing it is, well, it's in fact it's essential that you use the Django. Because the prefix will be different depending on where it's deployed. We really need Django to take care of all of that. So in the top of the figure index, you'll see a bunch of global variables that are basically generated by Django. So this will always point at the base of the web gateway. So then we can use that to generate our URL for looking up this. Okay. And so what I'm going to do here is, again, so we're using jQuery get JSON. This is actually what's called a JavaScript promise, which means I can handle the callback separately from defining the. So one way of doing it is to put a callback function here. That's typically what you do. But what I can do here is I'm going to just return this promise, and so then on the handling of the, I can put the handler here just by calling .done on it, with a function that will give me the data that's returned. So console, let's just log, oops, just check that this is doing what we want. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. It's giving me some nice warnings. So I have so this is Sublime Linter that's given me. Actually, I didn't read these warnings. Did I miss something? Not quite sure. Equals 36. 4. Oh yeah, sorry. This is a function, of course. Right. Yeah, I was kind of copying events, but that's a function. Fine. Yeah, so that's Sublime Linter giving me those warnings. Right. So let's again go back here and see that if when I do this and okay, so I get this console log and it's giving me the list of all the lookup tables. Right, so now let's we just simply want to render that for the user to be able to pick a list. So let's go. So again, I mean, the render function in Backbone views is purely convention. I could actually do the rendering anywhere or have multiple render functions, all of different names, and which I do in some of the more complex views. But we're going to stick with this convention. So I just need a way of passing the data to the render function. So this render typically wouldn't take any arguments, though I guess I could pass it some arguments. So again, a slight hack is I'm just going to just assign the LUTs to this. So that'll just add that as a variable to this view. Okay, and then I'm going to call this render. So I'm not. So this will actually load the lookup tables every time that this dialog is shown. I could, if I wanted to, I could cache this data and check that we have it in hand instead of loading it each time. That's something we could do later. One other thing. Okay, so this is going to get confusing, but I can't do this inside this function because this function, the context of this function is no longer the context of this view. So again, what I have to do here is a dot bind this. So that'll make the context of this this function. It'll assign this, which is this on the outside, to this on the inside of that function. If that makes sense. Okay, so I don't actually need to do render on right there. Okay, so then we'll get down to the render function. So we basically now we want to generate some HTML and put that on the dialog. So we could so in the very simple case, sometimes I just manually generate some. If it's really simple, you can just code up a couple of HTML here. There's no need to use the underscore templates. You could do, but in this case, it's just about worth doing the templates. Okay, so but in either case, what you're doing is you want to. So if I go back to the index page, find that up. So we basically want to add our HTML changes into this modal body. So there's a bunch of ways we could reference that. We could give it an ID, and then simply just use jQuery to grab that as an ID. Another way of doing it without making any changes here is we can just use the data, again using jQuery. So I'm looking for the dot, so the class modal body element, and I can use, so this L for the view is the parent element. So that's used as the parent element for the events, for delegating the events, but I can also use it as the parent element within which to find this modal body. So this is again jQuery way of finding this within that element. So, and I can just oops, let's get the other way up. So it's just using standard jQuery for actually doing the DOM manipulation every time. So we're going to get some HTML there, but and then we're just going to set this .html like that. Okay, so here we want to generate the HTML from the data. So let's remind ourselves what the data looks like. So it's basically it has a variable called LUTs, and that contains a list. So we want a template. So let's go and create a template. And again, easiest way is to take some existing code. Okay, so first let's go to. So we want to have an idea of what this is going to look like. So the easiest way of browsing is browsing the bootstraps and looking for the sort of elements that we want. So so under components here. So these are all the icons you'll see familiar with, and let's go down to see something. So these are all the drop downs, buttons. So let's maybe go for something like this. It's just a vertical. This is kind of what we want. A list of buttons like this. Okay, and it's really nice. You can just browse it, see what you want, and then just copy the HTML from there. Okay, so let's make a new file under the templates here. Paste that in, save that. Let's pick a HTML. Okay, so that's now we want to loop through the LUTs here. So let's just take this loop and close that here. Oops. Right. Okay. So then in here we can have. So this is going to be. So the data that we're passing it has this. So we're going to pass it just the full dictionary that we have in hand, and within that is a something called LUTs, and then we're going to loop through that. LUT is our variable inside the loop. Okay, so what do we have in each of these? Well, we just want to standard button. So let's go to where that is. So yeah, so we just what we want is kind of a button default. Okay, so and what we want to have in here, the text in the button is again % equals. lit.name. Okay, so that's actually should be all we need. Okay, we're not using that. Okay, so as you saw in the the way we reference that within the view. So each view has this template variable, and to access the compiled template using the path to that. So we just called ours picker, and okay, so that gives us access to the template. So that template is actually a function, and it returns HTML. So so we can actually var data. That's so that, okay, we saved it to a variable called Lutz. Okay, and then we can just pass that data. So that data contains a dictionary called Lutz, which is expected by our template. Okay, let's see if I've got that all working. Oops. Okay, so that's this template, just template. And this again. Let's see if we can get this. Third time lucky. Okay. So we've got a list of buttons now for lookup tables. We probably want to do some nice, like we've done in the clients, putting a little preview of what the lookup table looks like. But let's not do that just yet. Let's just handle the clicking on the buttons. So probably for the button for each button that's clicked, instead of trying to get the value from the text of the button, we probably just want to add where's it gone? An attribute to the. So let's just go data lut equals, and we basically just want the name exactly the same as in here, but in a different variable. And then let's pick a right panel view. So, and then we can just access it. So again, let's use the same example as we were doing before, the pick color example, using the event from the click handler. It should give us the currently picked. Okay, so what we want is something to handle the clicking on those elements. So pick that. So we'll put so function. So we've got a function for handling. Let's call this event properly. And we want this to be called so data. So we want this to be called when we click on the correct button. So let's again look at our template. So we can probably add to be safer, we'll add a specific class to this instead of just using one of the button classes. So let's put looked option here. So when we click on this option from the list, okay, so that will, oops, we can handle that here. So when we picked on that, we can move the button. That should, so the lut name equals, so let's just check that that's working. Console log lut name. Okay. So okay, so that's getting a name. So now we've already saved the success. So actually, so we could at this point close the dialog, but probably since this is a proper dialog, let's not actually close the dialog when we want to pick on these. Probably we could show. I thought we might use this space here since we've got a full dialog. I thought it might be actually quite nice to show the rendered channel as you click through these, or maybe inside, just show a slightly bigger representation of the lookup table that you've picked. Show something here anyway, but we can handle that later. And then okay, we'll just handle the currently selected lookup table. So as we click on each of these, we're just gonna so again I'm just gonna add this as a picked lut directly to the view class. Not a great approach if it's just to scale, but this should actually be fine for this. So probably we may want to do some other rendering step here if we want to show a bigger change, but that's all we're going to do when we pick. And then we just want to handle the submit. So this was so let's handle the click on, and what we want is find. So we want to handle the clicking on the OK button here. So again, this is done in a slightly different way in the color picker section. It was actually a form that we submitted, and this is a submit button within the form, but we probably don't need that whole form in this case. So we're just going to listen for clicks on this button type submit. So we can just do click on button, and again, this is using jQuery type selectors, and we'll call it handle submit. Oops, like this. Okay, and then handle submit is a function. Okay, and here, so we can here just call our the success. So let's call our this.success function, and we're going to simply pass it the name of the temporary variable that we've got for picked lookup table. And then we probably, I think we might have to manually hide this dialog as well. I think that's probably not handled. So let's try And so it looks, and okay, so that's clicking those, and then I'll do okay. The success is not a function. So did I pass? Oh, okay, I think I know what I've done. So in the lookup table here, when we initialized it, oh yeah, so I passed it the wrong thing here. I need to pass it a dictionary instead of a single. So that's function. Right. Is that correct? I think so. Okay, so that's part of a dictionary where success is a function. Okay, so let's see. I got this right. Let's succeed. Okay. Okay. So that seems to have got that working. So so that's probably all I'm going to do just now. So you should have undo and redo should automatically work and that sort of thing. I probably want to do a bunch of other stuff here, but I'll wrap up now. So let's just commit that. So git. So check out b. Oh, actually git. Okay, check out. So this is everything is based on master. That's the main branch in Figure, not develop. But so let's just check out where we are. Okay, so I'm going to add with git add dash p. This so one of the problems we found is that we always get conflicts if we commit this first line of the figure.js because this changes on every single commit because it's got the timestamp. So I guess there's a few things we could do here. We could maybe remove the timestamp from the compiled thing so we don't always have that. But I'm not going to, and the nice thing about doing this commit add p is you can choose to ignore that. So let's just add everything else. So you'll see there's the compiled templates, and then other stuff you'll see duplicated in the figure.js and elsewhere. Okay. Right, and then obviously I want to add my these files. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I need to show git to you. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. That'll be a commit. But yeah, obviously more work to do. Okay. Anyone still here? Any questions, or is that enough to be going on with? So yeah, I mean, I guess I guess the general approach is that Backbone is more of a library rather than a framework. So the way that you structure the whole app is really very flexible, which is nice in some ways. It doesn't mean you don't have to adhere to any particular. It's more conventions rather than rules. So, yep. I guess that'll do for now. It's an hour and 10 minutes. So, unless there's any questions, I'll just hang up, and you can let me know if you want to get started.
So that code that you generated today, that might be good to not to touch it and somebody play with it, and not yourself go ahead with that functionality in the coming week, and then people can fiddle and then say suggest best that way and see what they think.
Demo.
If you put it on a training branch or something like this, then and just leave it like that, so we can get associated to the video.
Sure. So let's call that demo initial commit on a Lutz branch. So yeah, you can check it out and play with that.
Oh, thanks for a good example. It took me a couple of days last week or 2 weeks ago to figure that out, actually.
Yeah, hopefully that's a slightly hopefully it's easier to get up and running now.
Definitely.
There's a lot of stuff there in different places. There's a lot of duplication because of the compiling and stuff. So and different parts of the app work in slightly different ways. But in general, now with the app in the state it's in, you should be able to find something that works pretty close to what you want to do, at least for the simpler stuff anyway. But yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much, Will. So I'll stop the recording and see what we get there. Okay.
Cool. Great. Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Will.
Bye.
Cheers.